back for another video. Today is a little bit earlier because I am at one of the clinics that I work at with babies and doing craniosacral therapy and pre and post frenectomy treatment. And I have a little bit of a break. So I thought I would pop on a little earlier on this cold and chilly Friday. I am so ready for the warm weather. But today I wanted to talk about the happy spitters. So I'm sure you know what I mean when I say that, but I often get these questions from mamas about, that their babies are spitting up a lot and they're wondering whether they should be concerned. And truth be told, becoming a mom for the first time is really an amazing experience, but it's also full of a lot of uncertainties. And this is one of the questions that I get asked a lot. When should they be concerned if their baby is spitting up frequently? And I am certified in reflux, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about that as well. But we will dive deeper into various topics on baby reflux in the upcoming videos as well. But in this video, I want to explore what actually causes baby spit up, and also when you should be concerned. Okay, so I'm just pulling up my notes here. Okay, so the idea is that let's talk about what is happening with this spitting up, the mechanism of what is happening. So baby stomachs are more horizontal than adults. They also have sphincters that are a little bit more immature, they're a little bit weaker, and the sphincters are just the pieces of muscle that are in between the stomach and the esophagus and the stomach and the small intestine. And so this is essentially what closes off the stomach, okay? And so it doesn't allow things to come and go when they're not supposed to. Babies also lack core strength. And then they also have immature digestive systems because, they are really just born very vulnerable, very dependent on us. And they do a lot of their developing, especially in the fourth trimester. They do a lot of their developing sort of outside of the womb. And the truth is that sometimes babies do consume a large volume of milk compared to their size, so the size of their belly or their stomach. And when you combine this sort of small belly with the shorter esophagus, which is the tube that kind of carries the stuff out, right? The tube between, our throat, esophagus, stomach, right? So it carries basically your food from your mouth to your stomach. That comes down the esophagus. And when we combine the small belly size or stomach size of a baby and the shorter esophagus, just because they're smaller people, we can understand that some of this milk will spill out through the mouth after a feed. And this is likely actually a protective mechanism. So if your baby has too much milk at once, then they're just going to spit up the excess milk that their belly can't hold, right? And this is actually good because we don't want our babies to be filling their bellies and having their bellies really distended from too much milk. And this is actually called reflux, but this is called physiological reflux. So physiological gastroesophageal reflux, so GER. And this usually starts anywhere around the 2 to 3 month mark or 2 to 3 week mark, and it will usually peak around 4 to 5 months. And it typically goes away by 12 months because that's when your baby has gotten up more into a vertical position. They're sitting, they're crawling, they're standing, and potentially even some babies are walking by 12 months. And this physiological gastroesophageal reflux, or this happy spitting, is really an effortless regurgitation of previously swallowed fluids into the esophagus without complications. So this is where the happy spitter comes into play, right? So your baby has a little bit of spit up that comes out of their mouth. And I'll tell you, the baby that I worked on this morning was so adorable and cute and calm. And sometimes I would just be moving different parts of her body and doing different things, and she would just have a little bit of spit up come out, but she was just calm and content and looking at me and engaged with me. And so there's no cause for concern in that regard, okay? When we should be concerned is actually when your baby is expressing pain or discomfort with that spitting up. Okay. So if your baby is spitting up a lot after every single meal, and maybe they're having projectile sort of vomiting, and they're crying, they're in pain, they just look uncomfortable, they're maybe pushing away, they're your heart is like hurting because something's going on. That is when you should be more concerned, because that is actually pathological gastroesophageal reflux disorder or disease, depending on who you're reading in terms of research. And this is when we really need to be looking for the cause. And this is something that I'm really passionate about, because unfortunately, doctors are jumping to either wait it out because they're thinking, oh, well, it's just a structural issue. Your baby's going to outgrow it, because by the time they get into that vertical position and all of their structures have matured, this reflux is going to go away. So we'll just wait until that happens, which, if your baby is in pain or discomfort, that is not an okay answer. You do not want your baby to be in pain or discomfort any longer than they need to be. The other option that doctors often go right to is to mask the symptoms, to say, okay, well, your baby is in pain or discomfort, so we're just going to give them medication, which has a whole load of other side effects to it. And I see a lot of babies that are being put on reflux medication without any other investigation being done to really look for the cause of reflux. And there is always a cause of reflux. So yes, some of those causes are because of just the immaturity of the structures in a baby. However, there's also a lot of different causes of reflux. And some of that reflux might be due, or some of that spitting up might be due to various things like increased air intake. So if your baby has a weak latch, or a poor latch, or they're getting a lot of air in from their latch, or they're popping on and off of the breast or the bottle all the time, and they're getting air in each time. It could also be because of reduced tongue function, which is then causing them to not be able to do good suck, swallow, breathe patterning, or not be able to latch properly and drink the milk from the breast or the bottle properly, thereby increasing the air intake. So there's that piece also that should be looked at. It could be because your baby has body tightness, and they're actually not really comfortable when they're feeding. And as a result, they're squirming and wiggling and pushing away, or arching their back, or crying, or fighting the breast or the bottle, and they're getting air in. It could also be as a result of digestive issues. So remember, your baby is born with an immature digestive system. And maybe if your baby is not actually able to digest certain things that are in your milk or the formula, they have a food allergy or intolerance or something like that, or sensitivity, that can also affect reflux, and often does cause more pain and discomfort with that spitting up, because your body is doing its job of getting rid of something it does not like. And so this is another potential cause for the reflux that is causing pain or discomfort. But ultimately, I want you to know that if your baby is a happy spitter, like my son was a happy spitter. And in hindsight, he actually had a tongue tie, but he was a happy spitter. He would feed. I had lots of milk, and he would feed in like 5 minutes, but then he would like spit up all the time. And, or what I thought was all the time. And he would spit up quite a big amount. But when you actually do like weigh-ins with a lactation consultant, for example, to see how much milk they're getting and how much they're spitting up, it's actually not as much as you think. It looks like a lot more. But he was a happy spitter. And so there was not really any cause of concern for me, besides the fact that my clothes were all spit up stained, even after I took them out of the laundry. But that is another story for another time. But yes, so I just wanted to kind of clear the air a little bit and maybe put your mind at ease. If your baby is a happy spitter, yes, there might be a reason. There might be something going on with their tongue function, but for the most part, if they're a happy spitter, it's probably nothing to be concerned about. It just means more laundry for you. When you should be concerned is if your baby is in pain or discomfort. That is the key difference. and actually gastroesophageal reflux disorder or disease, the definition does have that regurgitation with complications, pain, discomfort, projectile vomiting, acidic smelling breath, all of those kinds of symptoms. That's when you really want to start investigating the cause. Okay, so I would love to know if you have any questions for me. You can post them below this video. You can also get in touch with me various ways, or come and join my free community over on Facebook, the Sleep Deprived Mama Community, holistic and heart-centered support without sleep training. I have posted the link along with this video, so I hope to see you there. Bye for now, everyone.